Out, did you make a motion for that?
Not yet.
You're the only one
The
that's looking out?
emergency management almost had mercy. E.
Oh,
She left me out there.
I'm sorry.
Thinking the same thing. Wait it out of this.
Sit back.
Don't start without. Oh, by the way, it was such an emergency for the roof. I had to call them because I did have a call on my emergency line, which you guys should have that cell phone.
Yeah.
Because the only way to get me, if there is something, is text me, the best way. So I get a call from somebody who had some trees went down up on City Hall Road there. in
On
Queens High.
Saturday.
And so instead of telling them, I made the call to Jeff. So I'm listening to this and I'm going like, what's funny? Because Jeff didn't say, oh, by the way, you're an emergency guy, we got an emergency, the roof is ready to fall. Because while you were talking about what an emergency,
Yeah.
it should be like, that's an emergency
Yeah.
where it's a safety.
The tree falls through the roof.
Yeah, and that would be an emergency, which he did.
Thank you, I actually was gonna say we should consult our emergency manager since he was here.
All right, so we are back streaming. So.
No one else outside?
No.
I know they went home, I
Oh,
got
did
there,
they?
yeah,
Oh,
I
no.
joined it tomorrow.
So maybe
Well, we already undid the last time we did the changes, we moved it
Oh, yes.
back anyway, I told them that.
All right, so I'd like to make a motion to exit executive session at 8:54 PM.
Second.
All in favor? Oh, you got that. That was our intern into executive session. Okay. Okay, so now we are going to wait for our one audience member to get back. We could also, let's see here.
So I've been receiving a lot of calls, especially this week, of people asking if there's a draft that's currently being worked on with any changes you've already made. I have a few people that are considering buying properties and they've been told, hey, there's a potential chance that this might be a zoning change. We might not want to go into contract yet. So I don't know if there's anything the board has that they would like to be able to put forward for people to review, knowing it's still a draft, or would you prefer just to wait once everything's said and done for the public?
I think we're getting pretty close, right? We made it through down to our 9 and all the field times we're getting done.
Yeah.
What do you mean getting done on?
Yeah, like that, we were just changing it to only like the reserve,
Well,
oh, no, because you had, we hadn't gotten to that, okay, never mind.
That's what we're supposed to talk about today.
I'm like,
well, I mean,
So here's what I think, in terms of, we're about to go through a transition. I'm not gonna, hopefully within the first month, I'll have the new website ready to go. In terms of like putting together a map, we have to ask someone to put that together for us. My thinking, and this is I kind of put this on the agenda for discuss timeline and set goals for completion. I would like, instead of setting a public hearing, I think we should go through the map, get through everything that we think, because it's gonna be the three of us doing it. And then I think we should schedule a public session, not a public hearing, where we present to the public what we went through, what we did, like this is what was presented, this was the feedback we got, these are what we're proposing, ask us, comment, let's work through this together, then decide about when we should set the public hearing after we have a presentation of what we've done.
but
Because that's what I heard from the public is like, we want more involvement in this process before you put it to public.
so, but in that scenario, I agree, I think it's a good approach. We would come up with a solution, send it to Tom, ask Tom to do an updated map, and then have that as part of our presentation.
Yes.
I like that.
Have you talked to him at all? Do you have any idea
No.
of what available?
I haven't. But I think my understanding is he's pretty quick.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it should be, assuming we don't have a ton of parcels that are changing.
Okay.
But I guess let's figure out the field, but yeah, you should be able to do that.
So what I think we should do, I think we should today talk about the PL10 approach. We can, depending on how that conversation goes, we can start looking at the parcels and maybe we can get through that based on our conversation of what we want the approach to be. Then I think I don't have a great sense of what we're gonna have left after that, but I think given that it's 9 o'clock, I think we should just focus on PL10 tonight. And then schedule another time where we finish. So we'll have one more meeting where we finish going over the map. And that could be both finishing parcels that we hadn't looked at together again as a board, but also re-looking at what we did
In the last.
in the last meeting, because I had some
Yeah,
ideas about that too.
About that too, but I'm happy to go right into, because we left off at PL10 at the last one. I'm happy to
So,
go into that.
How does that sound? Like by the end of May, we will be scheduling that information session with the public,
I
the
think end of
presentation
May
and
is-
information session.
I think end of May is doable.
Okay.
For sure, and then the next meeting, I can make sure I come, if I know we're gonna redo what we had done at the last meeting next week, I'll come with it, cause I have only a few, like.
I just thought we should look back over it, and we went through that pretty quick.
So I know too, there's a conversation about how the proposed zoning changes can't be implemented until the map is done. Do we all agree with that?
No, I don't. I think that we can put through the regular zoning code changes. To me, the only reason why they would need to is because we've added the PL10 and we've added certain restrictions to other districts. And we've added the community one, but we don't. It's just that those rules, there's no one in that district right now, those rules would apply. Because there's no one zoned as that yet, is my take on it, so I don't see.
Yeah.
the point of waiting.
The only reason I bring it up is if we do the info session in May, we're not gonna have the public hearing until June. We're not gonna be able to vote probably until July, and then we're gonna have to do the same thing with all the zoning changes. It's like, we could potentially start, we haven't had a lot of feedback outside of some of the stuff we've already accounted for. We could start with the zoning changes, and then I guess that's a question. If we have something called out that's not the zone, is it just moved?
I'm not a code enforcement officer, but that's their
Could-
opinion. I would interpret it as that.
In terms of,
It's just like the EEO, before we had anyone apply to it, it was technically a district, but there was no one in it. Because no one had
Yeah.
applied to be in it.
I think the main concerns I have is if we were to, in some way, radically update the mapping and change the districts, then we would have to do an amendment to the law that we just passed. So say we decided not to have AB3 or something, then we would need to remove that.
From all of our.
That's all. I guess I'm just like, as long as, I think that we can, I think where it gets tricky is subdivision. So where there would be the subdivision would have these like, there would be like gray area or like in process subdivisions potentially. Would have the biggest impact, I think,
Mhm.
in terms of like
And we did
that, but let's back up, and now I'm just being. So what we're saying is, we'd like to go through the mapping, we want it to continue to be a collaborative process with the public. We're trying to go through the feedback we've gotten before and come up with a new proposal. We'd like to get that done in May, and then we'd like to have a presentation of that to the public and question and answer, and then figure out if we want to make some changes at that point, and then open it up for public hearing. So that would be sometime in June. Okay, asynchronously to that, you wanna talk about how we're gonna fit the zoning, 140, chapter 140. So like, where do you see that fitting in that timeline?
I have a proposal for that. I think if we set, whenever we set our info session for the zoning map, we should, the same meeting, set the public hearing for the zoning code. And we can make it clear at the beginning of the meeting, like, the one is just the written code, the other one is specifically the map. For the public hearing, and then it can all happen at once.
You're saying do a public hearing
Do-
and an info session.
And an
on the
info
same-
session, yeah, public hearing for the actual zoning code, because then we can have it, we can close the public, we can do the final public hearing, and we don't have to vote on it if we close the public hearing, right? We have as much time as we want after the public hearing to
Yeah.
vote, right? Because then we can put, if there's no comments and we advertise them both, then we can just close it and then. vote
Are there
where the-
changes that you guys wanna make though? 'Cause
Oh, I guess.
we
I
just are,
can leave it
we
open.
still have it's open from,
To the zoning.
we haven't gone back again. We went back, but we haven't gone back again.
Have you made changes to it where it's gonna have to go before the planning boards again?
No,
Okay.
we haven't done any of that, but we did get some feedback.
The only thing that jumps to mind, I have to look at my notes tonight, was there was one thing about setbacks for solar that I know was brought up by a company that had a project, but I don't remember seeing a lot of
Right.
other extensive comments, other than what we received in the first round.
Would you be able to send the town board all the
Yeah.
public comment, both
Yeah.
we got written and what happened at the hearings?
Yeah. I
Thank
could
you,
send
Kate.
you the different letters and then also the minutes that have all.
Okay,
the
okay,
comments in them.
okay. Thank you.
Does that include the planning board stuff?
Well, I always put in the minutes section, the referral information from the county and the town, so that would be in there.
So at our May workshop meeting, I think we need to, right now, I think we need to not have as many agenda items that we did this month. And I think right now we're gonna have a discussion about, what?
This was great.
It's, in May, we're gonna have a discussion about the court at the workshop meeting. That's the only big workshop item we have, so I think we should also maybe do a continuation of mapping. And then I also think if we could potentially all be prepared to talk about if there are things in the zoning, we'll receive the comments, I think we've been focused on the mapping. But I think if we could also refresh and decide whether or not we want to revisit, not at that meeting, but like, let's just decide. Do we need to have time to go through and update that draft before we close the public hearing? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think that's fine. I think also, like, if we're talking like in June, we're gonna have a public hearing for the map is like the ideal goal, kind of. If we do both public hearings and just close the one if we want to for the zoning. Then, so that it's all, it can be tightly all just put through together, but if not, then they're at least kind of on the same timetable that, like, all right, this public hearing closed, this one stayed open, we're keeping it open another week or whatever we decide,
Yeah.
depending on comments. Just to give us some more flexibility for it, but
And
then we can also vote through the other one if we want to.
did you find that the info sessions were more well received on a weekend rather than during the week?
The
No, I
during
think
the
the
week
week
one
ones-
was more well attended,
Yeah.
but that was also in the winter.
Yeah.
So. Well,
You actually might do better during the week this time of year, because a lot of people are filling their weekends up with.
Yeah,
Yeah, I was gonna say, we
Yeah.
probably.
I think we would.
But yeah, I think the Saturday one was like the least attended, it was all like repeat.
Yeah.
For the most part, everyone just
Yeah,
came again.
the first
like,
one
asking
had the
questions.
best attendance. Okay, so, but it sounds like we're clear on what our goals are. Now let's talk about the, um, the goals. So we went through, what do you guys want up? Do you want anything up? I have the spreadsheet.
Can we just talk high level? about
Yes.
the open?
I don't know. I don't know. if we can do that. I'm kidding.
I prefer to talk high level first before we go into like super detailed mode.
I don't know where you guys are getting this from.
So I'm trying to think back on the thinking behind the PL 10. So it started out that you want to match the district to the highest, best use, whatever the terminology is. So we started out saying, okay, obviously New York State land, obviously Open Space Institute, other conservation organizations should go into something like that. Then we started going through, we had data for properties that were already in some kind of conservation easement. So we considered pulling them in. And then it started looking at, okay, where are the difficult areas in town to build? Where are the areas that might have watershed concerns? Where even if you have 20 acres, it might not be possible to put 4 houses on there because it's wetlands or it's, 75-degree slope or something. I think the other side of it is if the property is not buildable, it's not buildable, whether it's an R5 or a PL10. So I think we should consider either making PL10 New York State land and other protected lands. We can decide whether we want to pull properties that have some other form of easement already on them into that. But I think that would be acceptable to me. And then I think for the parcels that are R5 that are under consideration, we could potentially, I think they're going to still be protected as an R5. Because if it's not buildable, it's not buildable. And that's up to the building department to make that determination.
Yeah, and my argument with the people that were R5 moving to the PL10, that their property may not have all been buildable on. If we move them to PL10, they have to sell in a 10-acre lot. At R5, obviously some if not most of them have a residence on the large portion that you can have buildable on, so if they have to sell at least 5 acres, the only thing they can sell it to is to conserve it. If it's not buildable anyway, so why restrict them where they could still be able to make a profit off of their property and divide it, and it still will most likely get conserved if that's what happens. Like someone maybe have a beautiful view on their only rock bed property, that you can't build on.
Yeah, we do have, I mean, there are some people that were happy to go into the open, but I think if they're happy because they feel like it's gonna preserve the parcel, then they can make that decision.
They can do that, themselves.
Preserve the parcel.
I'm of the similar thinking, that higher level, that I think that New York State, like you said, already conserved lands, Mohonk Preserve, New York State, Palisade, OSI, like those keep and make into the PL10. Cause like we don't know what's gonna happen 50 years from now. Mohonk Preserve, go in shambles. I don't think they will, but if they did, and we don't want them to have 5 acres, all of these houses lining the mountain after that happens, so. The larger corporate that own like hundreds of acres, I think, are the ones, but I think I heard the outcry of people, the value in people's properties, and I totally get and understand and feel like sympathize with that, with wanting, even though, I know that the zone doesn't protect, but that we went over how it does it, like property tax value, but or assessed value, but I think that it is important for people to feel like they own their property and that they have a right to their property. And like I said, like my mindset is that R5 is just as restrictive for people if their land, they're landlocked any other way that they go in or what have you, from natural reasons why they wouldn't be able to build on it. And it could actually promote them selling it then to be conserved more than a PL10 would, because they have to sell, say if they only had 12 acres, they pretty much have to sell their whole lot.
Yeah.
So
What do you think?
just
Ray?
my mindset.
I think Well, do you guys both have that? So we have, so basically what we're saying is then the PL10 zone would be created with the new, zoning code. And then with this mapping, we would be only selecting lands that are state-owned or conserved lands. And everything else, well, generally speaking, everything else that was changed over in the original proposal would, if it was moved to PL10, would go back
To the original.
to its original.
Yeah, I do think if we do go through and like there happens to be like, say there was one that somehow got zoned R2 and has like 20 acres. If we wanna change that to R5, but I don't think that we should change any past R5 unless they're already have a conservation of some sort on it, easement owned by the land trust, what have you,
Okay.
you know?
So what we are looking at then is okay, so we have 8, 9, 6. That's 26 parcels that we would
stay.
no, that we would take out of that proposal.
Yeah.
Everything
That's-
else
That's
is,
it?
Yeah, that sounds right, cause looking at it, there really wasn't I remember looking at the map when I was trying to go through the PL10s after public comment.
let's see, I might have, this spreadsheet is sorted.
Kate produced that at my request.
So 265 parcels proposed to change to PL10. 105 are owned by New York OSI Mohawk Nature Conservancy, 20 by land trusts, and 70 in private land easements.
Those numbers came from like that was back in like
Yeah.
December, right?
Oh,
Okay,
okay.
'cause I'm like, wait, I don't remember providing numbers.
Yeah, she,
70 privately owned us, that's it.
Yeah. Oh, the 70 is in private easement, so that leaves,
All the rest of them are under state.
yeah, that leaves, oh, I see. It's 70 and 70, yeah. Okay, so yeah, I was just looking at the spreadsheet, I'm trying to count.
I have 133 that are not.
Yellow is that we received comment.
Green is state land, so I have 133 that are not considered state land or people we had comments on. So some of those could be in,
it kind of seems like, because it would have been, from this, it's 125 that, were owned or land trusts that were,
Okay.
Greenland conservable.
I'm looking at all at spreadsheet.
I'm looking at Tom B.
Okay. So basically, we decided at our last review that we were comfortable having state or conserved lands. And so those are filled in this spreadsheet. So I was just looking at everything that had a blank in that column. But I didn't see, it's sorted by SBL number. I thought it was sorted by proposed zone, but it's not. So there's a chunk at the bottom that I didn't know. So, is there anything else we want to consider with that? I think the only thing that I want to do is look at the side by side of the districts,
How do you mean?
like the R5 and the PL10.
Oh, what
Oh,
the
for the actual
uses?
Like,
schedule.
and know what we changed also, because like, I feel like we changed R5 quite a bit too. So I don't, just like thinking
In
about
terms
that.
of uses.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I feel like this was our original proposal for PL 10. I'm comfortable creating the district and having this be the way in which it's implemented. And then I think if we hear from the public that there are particular people or thoughts about particular parcels wanting to be in that district for, you know, the underlying reasons, like the way we would consider new zoning requests, I think that would give the opportunity for someone to petition
Yeah, I
for
think,
the zone, because it would be created and there would be,
Yeah, but there's no incentive that I remember, like there's no use that's allowed in PL 10 that's not allowed in R5.
so here's what I'm talking about is someone who wants to put an easement on their land, that can be, depending on what you have, that could be a costly process. And someone might want to conserve their land in a way that doesn't have that cost associated with it. So they might want to do something like have a 10-acre zoning, because it would lead to the conservation of land in a easier way than going through easement. That's all. That's what I'm bringing up, is that it could still,
yeah,
the
like.
spirit of what
the
we
one
were talking
person
about.
That they were on the wrong color on the map, and they said, I'm actually fine with it going to 10 acres for my property. I encourage conservation. Like, if they wanted to, like, obviously they would go back with this change, but if they still wanna be 10 so that their property is, if they sell it, stays as a preserve, in a preserved district, they can always apply, and maybe we can like waive the fee if you're looking to make your land more restrictive. I don't know. That's allowed or not, if you can waive that fee, but some type of thing if you want to conserve doing the preservation district, like willingly, you know?
We're also about to go through the community preservation plan process, and I admit that I am feeling like curious about what that process is gonna look like, and I think, you know, anyway, I would like to center that process.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because there may be a pool to be able to
Mhm.
buy development.
Yes.
Yeah, we can buy those 5 acres that are not buildable and then do a park or something.
I guess the only question I have is, we do have access to non-state, like large conservation organizations, like individual owners that have easements. Do we want to try and capture them as well?
We do
Yeah.
have that information. That was that's the math I was just showing. There's 70 privately owned, and then when you subtract all of that, there's about 70 parcels that are privately owned but not protected.
Right, but I guess I'm asking, do we want to include that? Are we proposing to include that in PL 10?
Yes, I thought so.
Yeah, I think we're only gonna keep the 70 that have absolutely no type of conservation, no type of, that were pretty much anyone that was like originally R5 or a different district, that it's a residential use on, you know, that's what I thought.
I agree with that.
Okay, so that's what we're gonna have put into the new map
How do
then.
we do that logistically?
We have all of the data. So I will make a new column and say, I'll put in a new column and I'll say what date today is, and then I'll put in what. It's basically in the column F, which is saying that criteria associated with that SBL number, and we decided last week, or last time we talked about this, that those would all stay in PL 10. And then we were gonna talk about what we wanted to do about the others, but what we're deciding is we're just gonna put, do we wanna look at any of the R2s that were proposed to switch to PL 10? And see if they should go to R5?
Yeah, I think that would be a good.
Okay,
I'm sure that there's not probably a ton of them, like,
yeah.
but just to like.
Filter, insert filter.
Filter.
And then do you want, should we put a parcel here. I also have the maps.
Can you share parts of it?
Yep.
I'm gonna think how much better
You wanna do it. If you join a meeting and put up parcel viewer.
This is what we're talking
Yeah.
about. Dude,
We can look through all of them. If there's anything else that switched over that wasn't R5, if you guys wanted to look at that.
sorry, my brain. What am I doing? What am I doing?
What do you do?
I don't know.
Oh,
Oh, I'm going to the agenda.
go to
that's
the, no,
fine.
it's not on the agenda.
Yeah. I have to go to the website.
Oops, here. Look.
But I wanted to show that.
I just don't want to do
Oh, fireworks. Died for
Yeah.
These last few months. That 5 foot goal.
Yeah.
That really the difference if you have one. The person already have that. So I just noticed that. Reduce, that's fine, you want to reduce it. Why would you, that doesn't mean you have to take more from someone. I don't know. Who's that was for-
I'm still mad about my house.
What?
I'm still mad about my house.
What happened?
About farm, don't put it in R2.
Yeah.
I don't even have 2
You're right.
acres. And also the whole time we wanted to be in this why also I made my point about me not being able to explain what we wanted to do with our property when we changed it last year, or the year before.
I got the letter on,
We want to put a golf course in and now we can't.
pushed it back.
You didn't use a golf course.
Hmm?
Cover.
This is the 3 farm, part 3, the backyard.
Part 3? Do many cut.
I want to do a
Hey,
mini
but we're
cut.
about
but well, so, actually, I want to go keep it. I was gonna say, like, I don't know how it would work with taxes, but we might actually.
Mass.
Cause our line bridge is so stupid, like it literally like, it goes like around her garage, it goes behind her garage, and then around like this one tree, and then it goes back and like.
Yeah.
Wiggles it, but like it's just, it's not like curvy, it's like jagged, like it's almost like a lightning bolt pick in the story Debbie's house. And her like goes circles all around the back of the trailer park, and she has 12 acres, like in a line going. Hers is 12 that goes in a line all the way back to the trailer park. So like, yeah, and behind the school, like all the cross country paths are all in our property. But yeah, so I'm like, right, I'm like, who's gonna make my taxes super more like crazy to be like a multi-home, yeah, a multi-home, or is it getting, cause if it's like this whole, like.
No,
Do it.
Yes.
academic.
Yeah.
Because they can. So.
Yeah. Okay. Are you able to? Did you, on the meeting?
Yes.
Oh, you need me to give you a message.
No. I gave myself.
Oh, great. I'm glad.
I have that, sorry. What am I saying? Parcel.
You want me to, oh, it's on tomorrow?
Who's that girl?
Yeah, that's.
Yeah, I got another one this afternoon.
Oh, you know what, you might.
Yeah, we just
I
wanted
didn't
to
get my.
circulate. Wait, can I ask a question? Well, Jerry's here really quick with you guys.
Please have sharing responsibility.
Sunshine of my fellow board members. Can I ask one question that's off map topic? For our meeting with the court and about court security and constables that we're having at the workshop meeting, should we maybe invite our emergency manager who has a lot of, security background to the meeting to give an input if we want? I feel like we don't utilize Jerry enough for his expertise.
Weird if we say no now.
Yeah, I am sorry. I figured like he's back with me, but I didn't want to.
We should also have the report back.
But yeah, cause I know that you were on the committee that did like the audit of the like kind of did the review of the constabulary, like back, like. They
Yeah.
like said like years
Was.
ago, right?
That's
So I think he kind of knows an inner workings there, so I figured Jerry might be helpful to give a little input on there. if we need it. I'm all for as much collaboration as we can have, so.
Yeah.
That was pre-COVID, because right when we
Yeah, it
were
was
going
like
with the
you
public,
and Marie.
COVID happened.
Wow. Wow.
Oh, yeah, Ron Lap, yeah, that's what, I was like, I know it was three of you guys that did like, but.
Yeah, and actually, did we not do recommendations?
You guys did write something in there, though, I think, I don't think it ever got presented to the board in the. I'll go digging, but I figured trying to figure out like a
Uniforms,
security
simple
issue
things.
might be in your wheelhouse.
But the thing I have already discussed on record keeping. 32 years, I can tell you, you kept impeccable records because you had to many times come back and answer to your notes or your 302s and all that, you know.
You showed me
PARs.
that piece today, and it had the envelope attached to the documents from 1988, and like you could totally tell you were in the FBI because who keeps the envelope with the date on it? And I was like, wow.
Cause it's got the
I-
DNA, it's got the fingerprint,
I-
it's got the handwriting analysis, I know, I watch enough.
I
I
didn't
know,
know about keeping, if I didn't have a wife. But you keep records for that reason.
I watch enough Criminal Minds, I know.
And if, and that's, and in the future, if you guys are, as an outside, with somebody with that experience to look at something in that area, I have no problem with it. Heck, I get a call on 2 trees across the road, and I had to make a judgment call, so I called Jeff. So actually, I texted Jeff, and he responded right away, and everybody's happy. So that was my emergency last month.
Okay. So do you want me to look at the spreadsheet or are you gonna toggle back? Okay, so now we're looking at things that were in R2. I'm not used to Excel and I can't find where to, my like filter thing.
You want me to, you use Excel, you want me to help Aaron?
No, I got it. Okay, we are looking at R2s. And that's the map, but we're looking at R2s right now that we changed to PL10. And just, do we want to keep them R2 or do we want to change them to a different, like to R5, I guess is the question.
Wish their acreages was on this chart, cause that would have made it easy.
Yeah, I might.
That's
try
my
to
main
pull that.
question on it, it's really just what their acres are, is
You can
what,
say it here.
yeah, it's 6.1, so like.
Well, also like what was the underlying, other than acreage, was there anything else that made us wanna have less density, I guess?
How do you
Can
mean? How do you mean?
like when we were, so R2 is like low density residential, so you're really encouraging, what you really want is like residential area. When we were looking and making our first round of proposals, we were sort of going through with, when we were changing things over to PL10, it was like, is this something that has sensitive habitat, wetlands, like, so for me, if something was R2, and if we want to think of, if there was a reason why we were thinking of changing the zone and we don't want it to be PL10, I guess I'm wondering, like, if we wanted it to be R5, what's the reason for that? I just want to reiterate those reasonings that we would have and not simply do it based on acreage, because
Yeah.
it's not bad to have parcels that could be subdivided into 2 acres, but what was the reason that we wanted to have it be lower density in the first place? And do we still agree with that, or do we want to, so is it keep it R2 or is it change it to something else, isn't the question I'm having. And I think if we were not going to keep it R2, I'd want there to be something about the parcel that made us think that it was not, that it would be better suited to the rural conservation 5 acre zone.
Is it, can you just go, Erin, can you just look on the spreadsheet,
Mhm.
whoever's toggling, is it also the,
I think it's 2 of these.
it's both of those, right? Did they, I think that those got lumped in with the lot, with the -33 lot is. If I'm not wrong.
1 second, pause.
Mhm.
Aaron, or is that yours up there, Aaron?
But I'm not up there.
Okay, so I just paused it.
What did you pause?
I paused my close.
Oh, your screen share. Yeah, -35. Is also right next to it. I'm gonna guess that those ones, just like looking like. I'm gonna guess that we lump them with that, with like the flag shaped. Lot that goes around them.
Can you put up the
One. Water.
oh, yeah, can you put on these, like, map layers? Yeah, sorry, map layers. The flood, yeah, not
Yeah,
base,
we did the
I would do the
FEMA one
FEMA
was the one.
ones. And fresh water. Yeah. And I guess also if you could put on the aerial view, which is of into base maps.
I don't see a reason. This was the VR2.
I wanna look. That's Schwabby Turnpike.
Yeah. I'm the paper map.
Okay, put these, right? Those are yellow.
Which is R2, right?
Yeah, but on the spreadsheet it says delete this.
Maybe the spreadsheet was wrong.
I think we leave them R2.
I think we leave them
Okay.
on too, yeah.
Yeah, where's the? It's purple.
Is PL.
Oh, it's these. We just can't see the
Oh,
line.
the lines. I was just like, I'm looking,
We
it looks
can't-
like the right sheet.
We
of
can't
the
see the
other
lines,
one.
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's these. So everything, so it's everything, it's everything, it's all that.
All four, what is it, 4 of those that aren't
And those two larger flag kind of should.
Yeah. And they all are less than 10 acres.
Like, except for that big one.
Longer rectangular one to the left, just so I can see their SPF meters.
Which
The ones to the left, the smaller lots.
what do you wanna say?
Just, I click on it so I can see the SPL number. And then-
In the bottom. Oh, I wouldn't put the name on.
Oh, that's what I am.
This is the-
Five.
Oh, it's in Court Street. Can you close that? Sorry. I wasn't thinking about that. Okay.
So the bigger ones that are on that street, I think I kind of want to, maybe we should look at this whole like little section of the road.
Well, that's what, can you click on the other one,
Which one?
the one that the cursor's over? That was just. Yeah, others. Oh, is it, oh, cause you searched that SPL number, I'm sorry, I'm like, why is the number not changing in the top corner? Where's the SPL number?
It's in the info, but it has like all the proper.
Oh, gotcha.
It just has everybody's names in it if we open that up and we're streaming it. So you could just
I
stop.
mean, probably.
It's true. I guess. I mean,
It is public.
it is public information. It's
Yeah,
true.
it is, yeah, anyone could go on here and
Yeah.
put the same numbers.
Yeah, so that one little one clearly has like that, but it's also like not that much acreage. So.
Yeah,
So I
that's what
guess
I'm
the
trying to see
question,
where it's
should,
going.
do we wanna look at that whole road real quick and just make decisions about these smaller
I
parcels?
think that, yeah, I think these 4 here should all just. Refer.
Were they all proposed to change?
That's what I'm
Yes.
trying to figure out that. The 2 square ones that are less rectangular.
Yes, this,
The wider one.
Yes, for sure, that's,
Yeah.
so this is what you have the intersection, so those two are staying the same. And then the one that's adjacent is staying R2, but then everything else, do you see that? That road? This is where that is.
Mhm.
And so those are staying the same, that's proposed to stay, and then all needs to change.
Yeah, the one side of the road did, and then just that little one, right?
So are we just saying those all stay then?
Well, that's the question is, do they go to R5? Or do we want that road to connect through with R2?
I think let it connect to what you said.
Yeah.
Words.
Or we'll draw out the R2.
Yeah. Do those smaller.
Okay,
I
so we're
agree with
gonna
that.
leave those R2.
Yeah, so those ones
Okay.
are just gonna revert to
Do
the
you-
original.
Who's taking, I should take notes, they really. How, can you show me real quick, because mine's out, that's how it's not letting me insert, those.
What?
You highlight those?
Hmm?
To get the,
I'm not sure.
your filters, you're not showing that?
I wasn't, do you want me to be?
No, well, you are now, but I just was asking you, mine is grayed out, maybe, oh, maybe I don't have it.
Did
Never
you not
mind.
enable editing?
I didn't.
I do that all the time on the agenda.
Protected you, okay, never mind. Oops. Okay.
Here, I can write them down for you, Erin.
I'm gonna make notes in this
In the
spreadsheet, but
spreadsheet.
now that I have, that was like a very. Here. Okay. So that was this one. So we had 60.3-1-34.
And then -35.
Okay. And then what were the next ones? This just has the SBL number, so I want to make, they're all lumped together. They might not all be actual.
Are they all the sixties?
There's the 63s.
Not sure how that,
There was more than two. I have two that I'm seeing.
there's another series of sixties,
Oh, okay.
but I'm not sure if they're on the same
47?
grid.
Oh.
Oh, she only has the SBL numbers in.
Oh, just like from Parcel Viewer. What were the SBLs on Parcel Viewer?
Oh, okay. Well, why don't you?
I can pull that up.
Well, yeah, I just don't know how to do it. It's the four that are next to one another?
Yeah, so the first two, the wider of the rectangles were already done. They should have been -34 and -30.
So what did we do, what did we say?
You get 34 and 35 are full data for the last two digits. Okay, that's what I was.
Ah. So. -35, just, I'll make sure I'm looking at the right one.
Sure.
So this is -35.
Yeah.
And then this is -34,
Mm-hmm.
and then this is 63-1-32.
Okay. 63.3-1-32.110.
60.3-1-32.110.
Okay, so that one is R5, and so we're gonna leave that R5.
And then the next one down.
And then the next one is
120,
120.
and that is R5. I'm gonna keep it R5. So it's just the four? Did you get this one?
No, that one, the little one.
So that one is gonna stay R5 also,
Mhm.
because it's less than 10 acres. Also, or it's. Okay. But then. Any other, so then we had, oh wait, 60.3-1-37.210. You have that in your search.
Yeah, that was another one, but that was not there.
Oh, it's a different.
It's on the other side, it's on the other side, this one.
Okay, can you just, how many? Okay, so that one was R2. We proposed PL 10.
Mhm.
So what do we think? Should that be R5 or R2?
I think let's make it R5.
Even across.
It was what?
R2,
It was R2,
yeah.
and the one,
And wait, the last two were R2 also, the skinnier of the.
No, those were R5.
The R5
So
also?
we put those back to R5. So this, that was R5, that was R5.
Okay.
These were R2, so it was like a continuation of that. So now we're looking at that one. Is there?
that's not a touchscreen. Please wipe that off.
Yeah. Can you zoom in? Yeah.
I think we can make it R5.
Okay, I think we can make it R5.
And that, okay. The one next to it, that bigger one,
Is that also one of them?
cause all I have are the SBL numbers.
Yeah, that's New York State land. That one next to it.
Okay. So then we had. .4-1-25.211.
16. 4-1, 2.211. Is that what you just said?
I think Kate, you are welcome to stay. I think we're just gonna be doing this and then we're gonna have another executive session.
Okay, so you
So
don't need me.
We don't need you. If you wanna stay, you're welcome to, but if you wanna get going, we're just gonna be doing this until we get through these.
Okay.
R2s. Okay.
Start my car that'll come out.
Can I see? Well, it's go across the street, I think. Yeah, I know.
This is that weird one, right?
Yeah. We got comment about. Yeah. So that one was a subdivision and a natural subdivision by the road. That's why that one parcel is only 4 acres, but
Oh,
it's
yeah,
like
that's
really
yeah,
steep.
yeah. Mhm.
So, that one, the one that's 212 also, which is across the street, is split R5 and R2.
So what, this one's R2 and the other one is R5?
And R2. It's,
Oh, the other one's subdivided?
no, it's like, I think if you put on the map.
Oh.
All
I
right.
got you, I
Okay.
got you.
Bedtime.
Thanks, Jerry.
Have a good night, Jerry.
Jerry.
Thank you.
See you guys. Thank you.
Boys.
Thank you.
I got
Good
more stuff I
evening.
can do.
Thank you all.
I would have to make call to you today.
Yeah.
I have notes on this.
Aaron G.
Oh.
I was just trying to see if the other one on the other side. is it.
Oh. Which one?
It was 68.2-1-76.
Okay, that one. That was R2 and we changed it to PL10. So,
Should we just do all three of these R5? Cause it's not approved, and that one's not on the list of ones that are.
so we're going down the list of everything that was R2 that we changed to PL10 and deciding if we want it to be R5 or not. So those, the one across the street is one of those. And that's Doug
And I'm
Road.
wondering that the one I just gave you, though, I'm wondering, it's next to the original little 4-acre one.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
That's
That
what
one was R2 proposed PL10.
Okay, so that was also R.
Yeah.
So all three of these that we're kind of looking at in this corner across the street and then the two.
Yeah.
I think that we should change them to R5. For like the same reasoning, like, yeah, like the water's gonna be restricted, you know, it's 205. So there, and it kind of, this look is. I do think choose a lot for on Douglas Road. 2-acre building. Myself, but I'm up to you, your guys' opinions on it.
You like that?
Yeah.
Okay, so,
Like, it's already so restricted, like, allowing 2 there.
so that, just to confirm, that's 68.2-1-76.111.
Yes. And then the other 2 that were across from each other.
Wait, where'd you get 76.1111?
That's the big one that I had, that's next to the
Oh.
one that has like the horseshoe cut in the water. Got it.
Okay, combined to R5, we have that one in there.
Sorry, I kind of jumped.
6.8, I mean, I'm just going down the spreadsheet. 68.2-1-68. Do you want me to pull up parcel view too?
No, it's fine.
I'm sorry about that.
You're going down in which order? 6, 8,
I can't get my filters to work, so I'm just going.
what's the number?
68.2-1-68.
That one is also on Doug. 25. This-
So.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And then the same except for instead of 6870.
I guess only deleted an entire accident like that. It's a fillable form that didn't say.
Is that also in Doug Road?
So,
Yeah,
10 acres.
R5 or
yeah.
do we like?
I think R5, I think Tug Hill Road is one that's like, or Doug Road is just. I feel like too much development happening back there, like R5, I'm doing okay. I don't want to, with how most of the parcels are here.
Okay. Then I'm just looking to see if there's more. can't get the filter to work in this, Michael. I'm used to sheets. Very easy.
Google Docs. I was messed up too at first though, when I moved over to Sheets. Be back, I'm going to the restroom, please. So
I don't know.
Okay, well, that unusual, move me away from my
No.
spot.
Well,
I was going to the list.
tell you where you were.
Oh,
You
no.
just did 68.
No, but these are in numerical order.
Just search for it.
Okay,
Control F.
control F what?
Control F and then 68.
I had already scanned to see if there were any more R2s. I'm trying to see if there's R2s that we changed to PL10. So that we can look them up and make sure that we don't want those to be. So I was trying to filter by R2. Which you were able to do.
Mhm.
This might be this like stolen mouse I'm using. Okay, I think that was it of those. Unless will you look at your filtered?
How many did you have?
Well, that's a great question.
Have you?
We did 1, 2, 3. That was like less than 10.
Mhm.
Can I just see?
I mean, the total I have is 16 for R2 and AR.
I don't think we did that here.
We didn't do the AR3s. We did all those R2s. We didn't do the,
Hey,
we did
Yeah, that
those.
sounds right. Yeah, we did.
Yeah, I recognize those. So, do we want to look at the AR3s?
no.
Cause you want to go home? Okay.
Because we still have to do an executive.
Yeah, which will be quick. Maybe.
I think those AR3s will be pretty quick too, if we do those at the beginning before we look back on the other changes we had done.
Okay, so we completed the PL10 review except for anything that changed from AR3 to PL10. So I will get a sense of what we have done so far, what we have not relooked at, and then that will be on our May workshop agenda, which we might need to reschedule. Because it's just the three of us. And are we all going to be here?
May workshop.
Yeah. That's supposed to be the 9th. May 9th?
Yeah, I think right now it seems it's okay for me.
Yeah, right now I'm good for it too.
Okay.
I'm good.
Yeah, there's 5 Thursdays in May, so that'll leave 2 weeks in between. Well, we'll see. Okay. So, all right, I think it's 10 o'clock. We can wrap up.
I make a motion to enter executive session at 10:02.
Okay.
Right? That's all we had, right? That was the last thing on the regular agenda.
And so that is for the purposes of discussing litigation and matters leading to the appointment, discipline, suspension, removal of a particular person.
What's up?
Okay, so 10:02, Charlotte. Motion. And all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, abstained, okay. I am going to, going to